Every towering corporate giant, every, disruptive startup, every small local business that kind of anchors its community, they all start with the same thing, a spark.
Mm-hmm.
That initial fire, that motivation, that compelling need to turn an idea into something.
Yeah.
Well, something real.
Right.
Our deep dive today is really about dissecting that entrepreneurial fuel. We're mapping out the whole journey,
Right.
From the internal drive of one person through building a complex venture, and we're grounding it all with a really intensive look at how entrepreneurship thrives and maybe more importantly, how it struggles in a specific place. Nepal.
Yeah, and this is a pretty comprehensive mission. Our sources, they've given us a complete systematic framework for understanding how ventures get created. We're moving beyond just simple definitions today.
Okay.
We're defining the core characteristics, the mental stuff, the behaviors you need for success. We're dissecting the modern types, from high-tech speedsters to really ethical, community-focused models.
Yeah.
And detailing the blueprint needed to turn a concept into a solid plan.
So for you, the listener,
Exactly. For you, this is kind of a shortcut, not just to the how of building a business, but those critical contextual factors, the economic, the social, the political ground truth that you absolutely have to navigate to succeed out there.
So today we're tackling the big questions. What really drives someone to take that huge leap?
Yeah.
And when they do, what are the absolute non-negotiables for a sound business plan? And crucially, how do things like institutional supports, finance, logistics actually turn potential into, profit?
Well,
Let's unpack this, starting right at the core, that psychological engine.
motivation.
Right. So when we talk motivation, it's not just some fizzy feeling, is it, or wanting to be rich. Our sources clearly separate the internal factors from the external ones. Let's start inside. What's pushing the individual?
Okay, so the internal drive, that's the bedrock, really. It speaks to that fundamental need for self-determination, the first big internal factor, a potent desire for independence.
Right, not just managing your own time.
No, much more than that. It's about claiming autonomy, real control over the big decisions. Think of like a specialized consultant leaving a massive firm to go freelance.
Mm-hmm.
The motivation there is controlling the client list, setting the prices, defining the culture,
Yeah.
without all the bureaucracy.
And often that freedom is needed specifically to do something new, isn't it? That's the innovation piece.
That's pure innovation.
Mhm.
The urge to create something unique that just wasn't there before. We see this, for example, launching a sustainable fashion brand.
Oh.
The entrepreneur isn't just jumping into the clothing market. They're specifically trying to fix underlying problems, supply chain issues, waste, labor conditions. It's problem-driven from day one.
And then you have the drive to achieve major life goals. This goes beyond just the immediate paycheck, right?
Way beyond. It's founding, say, a tech startup specifically to change education access in underserved areas. You're looking for financial success and real social impact. It's about legacy.
Legacy, yeah.
And we can't discount experience either. Educational background and occupational experience. That deep knowledge, like a master brewer opening a craft brewery after 10 years in industrial operations, that fosters the confidence you need to take calculated risks.
Okay, so the internal factors give the push, the direction. If those are the internal pressures, what about the external forces, the tailwinds that make the journey, possible?
Right. The external factors define the environment. Is it supportive or restrictive? Top of the list. Government assistance and support.
Tangible stuff.
Exactly. Tangible policies that lower the barrier to entry. Think about investment tax credits for startups in deep tech or maybe renewable energy. Without that policy support, maybe some seed funding, the capital needed, might just be too high for individuals alone.
And the simple availability of resources geographically.
It's huge.
Massive. Trying to launch a biotech venture without access to labs or specialized talent, almost impossible.
Having easy access to infrastructure, talent pools, or VC funding in a tech hub, that's a huge facilitator. It doesn't just enable starting up, it enables scaling.
And finally,
we have to mention promising product demand. If the market's already signaling a need, a gap, well, the entrepreneur is strongly motivated to jump on that validated opportunity.
like what? Give us an example.
Okay, a clear one now is the global aging population. That directly motivates people to launch, say, health monitoring tech or specialized geriatric care services. The external demand basically pulls the venture into existence. It de-risks that launch phase quite a bit.
Okay, so we've got the mix. Internal drive meets external opportunity. Now let's look at the person who actually acts on it. How do we define entrepreneurship now, and what traits make someone good at it?
Well, entrepreneurship itself, as a process, it's defined as creating and managing a new venture through innovation and risk-taking, specifically to exploit market opportunities. It's this dynamic mix of action, creating value, and mobilizing resources.
That definition immediately points to the key traits needed for that uncertainty, right?
hmm
Our sources list 10 crucial ones. We often focus on the innovator, but the foundation has to be the risk bearer.
Absolutely. But let's be clear. It's not reckless gambling.
Right. Calculated risk.
Calculated financial, social, and career risks. Think about the classic story. Leaving a stable job, using personal savings to launch a startup. That's a huge risk taken after really analyzing the market. Alongside this, they have to be an innovator and organizer, constantly finding new solutions, managing scarce resources, capital, time, people efficiently.
And they need that internal drive, the need for achievement, pushing beyond just profit towards hitting tough goals, which feeds into being proactive,
Yeah.
right? Seeing trends early.
Exactly. Acting on future opportunities before everyone else. And that requires a strong tolerance for ambiguity. Thriving when things are complex, confusing, uncertain. Adapting quickly to sudden market shifts, political changes, tech disruptions.
Things you can't control.
Things you can't control.
Yeah.
And we also see the importance of the feedback loop, seeking immediate feedback.
How does that work in practice?
It means constantly asking for and using customer reviews, market data, financial numbers to quickly tweak the product or service, not waiting for some annual review. And the thing that keeps it all going, pure passion. That unwavering belief in the vision, the persistence to get through the failures, because there will be failures.
Definitely. This brings us neatly into the psychology, entrepreneurial feelings. What emotional drivers allow someone to sustain that level of risk and just keep going?
Entrepreneurial feelings are basically these psychological drivers. They come from a deep sense of control and self-efficacy. The most critical idea here is the locus of control.
Locus of control. Fascinating term, often simplified. You either believe you control your destiny, that's internal, or external forces do external. But how does a successful entrepreneur actually use both?
That's the key insight. The successful entrepreneur has to primarily operate from an internal locus of control, meaning they start a business with total confidence that their decisions, their hard work, their actions are the main things determining the outcome. This drives action, self-reliance. If the business fails, they look at their strategy first, not just blame the economy.
But if they only relied on that internal confidence, they'd miss huge market shifts, right?
Exactly. They have to simultaneously recognize the massive influence of the external locus of control, acknowledging that forces like market trends, pandemics, digital shifts, new regulations, these must influence strategy.
So you adapt.
You adapt instantly. You can't control the external forces, but you use them. A restaurant owner might believe their great food internal skill dictates success, but when a lockdown hits external force, they have to launch delivery immediately. They use that external reality not as an excuse, but as strategic input. So the successful entrepreneur balances internal confidence for execution with external awareness for adaptation. It's a dance.
A balancing act. Okay, so we understand the person, their drive. Let's look at the venture itself and how the whole idea of entrepreneurship has changed over time. It's clearly not static.
Highly fluid. If you look back to the early views, 18th century, Jean-Baptiste Say saw the entrepreneur basically as a resource shifter, someone combining land, labor, capital, and moving them from low productivity to high productivity uses, like a merchant efficiently moving grain between markets.
Very transactional.
Transactional. It didn't get really disruptive until the early 20th century with Joseph Schumpeter.
Right, Schumpeter. He emphasized the entrepreneur as the innovator driving economic evolution through creative destruction. They fundamentally shake things up.
Creative destruction, like the assembly line.
The assembly line is his classic example,
Yeah.
Powerful one. That innovation destroyed the old system, individual craftspeople, cottage industries, but in doing so, it created massive new efficiencies, global supply chains, entirely new industries like modern cars. It's painful destruction, but ultimately regenerative for the economy. And fast forward to contemporary views, the focus shifts again.
Yeah, it moves beyond just physical production. Now it's about creating and exploiting opportunities to meet dynamic customer expectations and experiences. Think about Tesla. Not just making electric cars, but disrupting energy storage, the whole distribution model.
Right, the whole ecosystem.
The whole ecosystem. And the most recent development reflects our sort of global social conscience, the rise of social entrepreneurship. This model specifically prioritizes sustainable societal change, human welfare, sometimes over pure profit maximization.
Yeah, Grameen Bank.
Grameen Bank is the perfect example. Pioneered microfinance. They proved financial tools could be designed specifically for poverty alleviation. The social mission and the financial model were inseparable.
This evolution has led to a really diverse landscape. Our sources talk about 13 types, but let's focus on the main categories defining the modern market.
Okay, we can start with traditional scale and intent. You've got small business entrepreneurship, localized, non-scalable, like your neighborhood bakery serving the community.
Okay.
Then there's the scalable startup, think Airbnb, a SaaS company explicitly designed for rapid, exponential growth through innovative, often digital solutions. Very different from salary substitute entrepreneurship.
Which is?
That's a firm started simply to replace a regular paycheck, like a small, specialized retail store providing steady income, but without huge growth ambitions.
Makes sense. Where it gets really interesting, though, is the modern, specialized focus driven by tech and global issues. Let's dissect technopreneurship.
Technopreneurship is inherently tech-centric. The core value is the technology. It demands huge upfront R&D investment, focuses on innovative applications, scalability, using tech to disrupt traditional industries.
Like AI managing cities or new medical tech.
Exactly. The key risk here isn't just financial, it's technological obsolescence. They have to constantly innovate or their core value just decays.
That sounds different from netpreneurship or e-entrepreneurship. Both use tech, but the focus feels distinct.
It is distinct. Netpreneurship is purely internet-based. Focuses on distribution, low-cost access. It's defined by global reach, incredibly low physical setup costs, that dynamic digital environment, and intense competition because entry barriers are low.
So like drop shippers or e-commerce stores.
Precisely. Netpreneurs have to be obsessive about the customer experience, often relying on 247 digital platforms, rapid fulfillment to get an edge.
And moving away from digital towards global responsibility, we have ecopreneurship.
This is sustainability driven by definition. Ecopreneurs bake ecological thinking into every layer of the business. They prioritize environmental responsibility, not just as marketing, but as a core operational principle.
How so?
Using zero-waste production, ensuring worker care, customer protection like non-toxic products, and committing to real community improvement, they aim for that triple bottom line: people, planet, profit.
People, planet, profit.
Yes.
And finally, we have to mention entrepreneurship, the idea you don't have to leave the big company to innovate.
Yes. This involves creating a culture where employees act like entrepreneurs inside the large corporation. It promotes innovation, gives employees freedom to test new ideas, new product lines, often with internal funding or profit sharing.
It's a way for big firms to keep talent and manage risk.
It's brilliant for that. Mitigates risk because ideas get tested in controlled environments. Fosters ownership among talented staff, keeps them engaged by offering challenging, autonomous work. The tricky part, of course, is fighting the bureaucracy and the inherent risk aversion in large organizations.
Okay, we've got the drive, the venture type. Now, how do we turn that spark into a concrete plan? Let's walk through the structured roadmap, the entrepreneurial process.
It's systematic, tries to minimize chaos through 4 clear phases. Phase 1, identify and evaluate opportunity. Spotting gaps, rigorously checking financial and operational viability. Like, is there real demand for personalized, ethically sourced digital content?
Phase 2 is crystallizing it. Develop business plan. The strategy, the product, the resources needed. Phase 3 is getting those resources. Determine and obtain resources. Securing funding. Hiring talent. Getting the tech or assets.
And Phase 4 is the reality check. Manage the enterprise. Putting the plan into action. Setting up operational systems, controls, financial governance. It's execution and monitoring.
Clear advantages here seem to be risk mitigation through that careful analysis, right?
Yeah.
Forces you to think through problems before spending money. But what are the downsides?
The big ones are time consumption, long feasibility studies. Funding rounds can delay launch, sometimes fatally. And inherent uncertainty. Markets can shift dramatically while you're still planning, maybe making your initial analysis obsolete before you even launch.
Right. To counter that risk, you need a solid but flexible blueprint. Let's talk about the business plan. Why is this document so crucial, especially for outsiders like investors?
It's multifaceted. Internally, it guides decisions. Externally, it's absolutely vital for attracting investors and lenders. It shows market feasibility, management competence, a clear path to profit. Plus, it enhances efficiency by aligning functional plans and helps manage risk by outlining potential challenges upfront.
Our sources detail the traditional contents. This isn't just a marketing sheet. It integrates everything. Finance, HR, marketing.
Correct. It has to be holistic, based on realistic data. Key parts. Executive summary, the quick overview, market analysis, customer segments, market size, competition, financial projections, cash flow, break-even, funding needs, and operational planning production, tech stack, supply chain. If the numbers aren't real, the plan's worthless.
But as you said, the traditional plan can be too slow for the tech world. For rapid testing, especially startups, many now use the agile alternative, the lean canvas model from Ash Maurya.
The lean canvas is revolutionary, really. Forces the founder to get their entire hypothesis onto one page. Focuses only on the critical bits that need fast testing. It's built for speed, iteration, not presentation polish. Our sources highlight 4 absolutely essential blocks.
First, define the problem, the top customer pain points your business solves. Second, the solution, the minimum features addressing those points.
Third, key metrics, the numbers proving your solution works. Think conversion rates, customer lifetime value, churn. And fourth, crucially, the unfair advantage. That unique thing competitors can't easily copy or buy. Often proprietary tech, unique knowledge, a star team.
And we have that perfect example. The Healthy Hub meal delivery service really clarifies the lean structure.
Absolutely. Healthy Hub's problem. Busy professionals lacking time for truly healthy, personalized meals. Solution. A flexible subscription meal prep service. Their unfair advantage wasn't just good food, it was a proprietary meal planning algorithm optimizing nutrition based on biometrics. Competitors couldn't easily replicate that. The lean canvas gave them the focus to validate that complex idea quickly.
Okay, we've built the theory of the person, the venture structure. Now let's apply it to a specific, challenging but vibrant place, Nepal. Understanding its history and structure is key, right? Because lean canvas theory means nothing if the local roads don't work.
Exactly. Theory meets reality. The historical growth trajectory in Nepal shows how institutional changes shaped everything. It started pre-unification decentralized, small-scale farming, handicrafts, very local trade, no real formal support.
Then post-unification brought early centralized industry.
Right, state-backed operations like the Bharatnagar jute mill in 1936. Then, post-1950, the planned development stage. New democratic government, 5-year economic plans, creating public enterprises factories, banks aiming for self-sufficiency.
But the real game changer was liberalization, post-1990.
Huge shift. Privatization, open markets spurred massive growth, especially in ICT, education, tourism. Driven by globalization, foreign investment, new capital, new ideas, it rapidly changed the economic structure.
But operating in Nepal means navigating some intense constraints. I'm going to use the PESTLE framework to break this down. Let's start with economic factors, which often limit scale.
Economically, the challenges are clear and linked. Limited capital access, especially for early-stage ventures without collateral, that severely hinders growth. There's abundant labor, but often unskilled for high-tech or value-added work. And crucially, the small domestic market size limits scalability, forcing entrepreneurs to think internationally early on, adding complexity and cost.
Moving to social factors, there's a positive trend. More acceptance or legitimacy of entrepreneurship as a career, at least in cities, but serious constraints remain.
Oh, yes. Lack of security, political unrest, policy changes, slow courts deters long-term investment. And interestingly, entrepreneurship often arises from marginality. Marginalized groups facing barriers to traditional jobs might start small businesses out of necessity, seeking financial autonomy and social standing.
Politically, Nepal's democratic system supports business on paper. Subsidies, protections exist, but instability undermines it all.
Political instability and inconsistent policies are huge barriers. Think about shifting foreign investment rules, changing ownership limits, repatriation rules. Creates massive uncertainty, discourages long-term planning, especially for big infrastructure like hydropower. You can't rely on the rules staying the same for 20 years.
And finally, legal factors. The 2015 Constitution helps, deregulation efforts help. But the friction point is often execution by law administrators.
Effective enforcement is critical. Laws exist for registration, tax, labor, but compliance can be slow, complex. You need consistency from courts and agencies, so contracts are upheld, IP is protected. A business plan is only as strong as the legal system backing it.
Despite those hurdles, Nepal has vibrant opportunities, leveraging unique assets. What sectors show the most potential for smart entrepreneurs?
Several are ripe, especially with value addition. Agribusiness is huge. Moving beyond raw exports to processing, organic certifications, unique products like medicinal herbs, maybe distilling high-quality essential oils for global markets.
And naturally, tourism, leveraging that incredible natural beauty and culture.
Definitely. Ecotourism aligning with ecopreneurship principles. Or infrastructure like ropeways in hilly areas to boost access without massive road building.
What else?
Energy. Massive potential in hydropower, small-scale renewables like solar farms. Demand is constant, resources renewable. And the ICT sector is booming e-commerce, local mobile apps for transporter payments, digital innovation using that young, tech-savvy workforce.
The country also pushes export-oriented units, EOUs. That's a deliberate strategy, isn't it? To bypass the small domestic market.
Vital strategy. EOUs leverage unique products internationally. High-altitude tea, coffee, traditional handicrafts like carpets, pashmina, Himalayan herbs. Government incentives try to link local production directly to global demand, enabling scale.
But focusing only on high-potential sectors hides the specific struggles of local entrepreneurs, especially marginalized groups.
Yeah.
Let's talk rural entrepreneurship.
Rural ventures face structural issues global startups don't. Severe financial constraints, limited access to credit, lack of collateral. Infrastructure is often poor, bad roads mean high logistics costs, unreliable power, weak internet cripples digital efforts, and critically, a low risk-bearing capacity. People are risk-averse. Limited fallback options if things fail forces them into necessity-driven ventures.
And for women entrepreneurship, the barriers are systemic, cultural, not just economic.
Significant interlocking challenges. Starts with limited access to finance, lack of collateral, maybe property is in a male relative's name, lack of formal financial records, then explicit gender discrimination and cultural barriers restricting movement, networking, decision-making power. Plus, the huge burden of family responsibilities limits time and energy for growth, even though women often have high success rates with microfinance when they get it.
And finally, the backbone, family businesses. They face intense internal conflicts.
Family businesses in Nepal, strong on commitment and legacy, often lack professional management. They rely on informal, family-based governance, not meritocracy, leads to complex succession planning issues. We can see this tension in the three-circle model.
Explain that model. What are the three circles and the conflicts?
Okay, the three distinct systems are the family, emotional unit, the ownership, financial asset, legal structure, and the business operating unit. Conflicts constantly arise where they overlap.
For example,
a family member might demand a job based on kinship, family need, even if unqualified, business need, or owners might demand big short-term dividends, ownership need, undermining long-term investment, business need. Mastering succession means creating clear boundaries, professional standards that prioritize the business's health over immediate family or owner demands.
That structural conflict shows exactly why external support is vital. Let's move to institutional support, the lifeline needed in this tough ecosystem.
Support has to cover finance, logistics, capacity building. For financial support, commercial banks do standard loans, but the real targeted impact comes from specialized places. Microfinance institutions, rural development banks. They offer smaller loans, often using group lending, character-based metrics, not just collateral. They target underserved groups like rural women, promoting poverty alleviation and business creation.
Then you need logistic support to counter the poor infrastructure. The government helps here with industrial estates.
Industrial estates are critical. Designated zones with ready-built factories, shared facilities, power, water, waste treatment, security. Lower setup costs and friction for SMEs. Crucially, they streamline bureaucracy with one-window services.
One-window service sounds like a dream for dealing with red tape. What does it actually do?
It centralizes approvals. Instead of running to 5 different departments, industry, revenue, environment, labor, local authority, you have a single point of contact for permits. Cuts delays from months to weeks, reduces opportunities for corruption. Agencies like the Department of Industry and the Trade and Export Promotion Center also help with market links.
Beyond money and buildings, we need skills capacity building through ECDPs, entrepreneurship competency development programs. What's involved?
Systematic development of modern business skills. University roles are key. Tailored programs, practical research on local markets, on-campus incubators providing mentorship and basic infrastructure. Government and NGOs, like the Department of Cottage and Small Industries, offer vital training, financial literacy, digital marketing, communication. FNCCI does advocacy and networking.
The government also uses specific incentives to steer behavior, right, to counter some economic constraints.
Yes, fiscal tools to reduce the burden. Tax holidays for export units, giving relief from corporate tax initially. subsidies on interest rates or capital spending, especially for priority sectors like agriculture or renewables, and non-repayable grants for R&D and innovation, letting entrepreneurs experiment without taking on debt.
Finally, let's wrap the case study with the future mandate: ethics and impact. As markets mature, ethical conduct becomes crucial.
Non-negotiable for long-term reputation. We have to highlight success stories like Purna, a socially conscious garment maker in Nepal. They exemplify powerful social entrepreneurship, successfully blending profit with deep social purpose, imploring marginalized people, fair wages, ethical standards, proving purpose and profit aren't mutually exclusive.
Yet the pressure to succeed in a tough market creates pitfalls. Our sources mention critical ethical issues to watch out for.
Issues like conflict of interest in supply chains or financing, the temptation of misleading advertising in competitive markets, which destroys trust fast, and the absolute baseline: strict health and safety compliance for employees. Ethical entrepreneurship means aligning goals with moral duties from the start, ensuring the business contributes positively. #outro.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We went from that deeply personal fire, passion, independence, balancing that locus of control, all the way to external structures like government support and market demand.
We analyzed how innovation shows up today, technopreneurship, ecopreneurship, and how a disciplined plan, whether it's the big traditional document or that nimble lean canvas for rapid validation, is absolutely essential, mitigates risks, secures resources, no matter the ecosystem.
And the Nepal case study really drove home how theory meets a volatile reality. Success isn't just about spotting opportunities in tourism or agribusiness. It's about expertly navigating the tough economic and institutional facts on the ground. Poor infrastructure, political instability, the need for microfinance, those family business conflicts.
Right, the core takeaway. Entrepreneurship is a constantly adapting process, but ultimate success is maybe less about the initial idea and more about the entrepreneur's ability to dynamically blend resources with a sharp strategic awareness of their unique context.
We've seen it drives economic progress, undeniably, but also that models like ecopreneurship and social entrepreneurship are rising, focusing on sustainability and equity.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you, the listener. Given the intense challenges faced by, say, necessity-driven entrepreneurs in constrained places like Nepal, is the traditional pursuit of personal, scalable, high-growth success still a main goal? Or must the modern, ethically conscious venture now be designed from day one to strategically integrate financial success with measurable, systemic, positive social impact, making those two goals fundamentally inseparable? Something to chew on until our next deep dive.